Among Passione's many stand users exist some extremely powerful abilities, be it those in Bruno's gang who have some of the most versatile set of stands in the series, or Unita Speciale and their nearly unstoppable stands that require some sort of sacrifice to overcome. But even those in the lower rungs of the gang have terrifying abilities, and this is best seen in one of the first fights in Part 5, that being Soleil and his stand, Kraftwerk. Soleil is a grunt of Passione and the brains of operation when it comes to his team with Mario Zucchero, and he acts as a minor antagonist going up against Bruno's gang in the pursuit of Polpo's treasure, and even though his group was defeated, they did survive the encounter and went on to disappear into the shadows of Passione and the story itself. Though Soleil would be brought back in the light novel Shameless Purple Haze, we'll discuss that more later. First, let's discuss the meaning behind his name and his design. Soleil's name, like most other members in Passione, is a direct reference to an Italian word, with Soleil itself meaning salt. He was likely given this name given salt's usage throughout history, as salt is one of the earliest seasonings ever used, and it was used to balance out other flavors like bitter from being too overpowering and empower others like sweetness and umami. Soleil does this in a sense by being the brains of his team, and trying to direct his teammate, Zucchero, whose name means sugar, to do his best and, in a metaphorical sense, bring out his flavor. Along with this, Soleil's outfit design seems to play well with Zucchero's own design, as Zucchero has a weird snail-like shaped haircut that curls at the back. Soleil's shirt and pants are covered with a starfish-shaped design as well, and this starfish aesthetic could be what plays into Soleil's own weird haircut with its sagging dreads and all. Though Soleil's name also works well with Zucchero being his teammate, as they're both named after white flavor-enhancing powders, with a deep impact on culinary history and history in general. Though that does make me wonder if they do have a third teammate named Cocaina. Though speaking of salt and its history alongside Soleil and his connection to other characters, there's another two connections that can be found via Soleil's name. First, of course, coming from the fact that Soleil desired Polpo's hidden treasure, which might harken back to salt's own connection to currency as a whole, as it was a highly valued resource, even being the origin for the word salary. Along with this, salt is also the origin for the word salad, which, given Mista gets a portion of his name from the word mixed salad in Italian, connects Soleil to him and is likely the reason that the two fought. And Soleil shows great fortitude during his encounter with Mista, but he wouldn't have lasted half as long without his crafty stand, Kraft Work. Kraft Work is a humanoid, robotic-looking stand with an armored exterior, with one of the main focuses on the stand's design being its teeth, with Araki saying around the time of Part 5 he had an obsession with giving stands gritted teeth. You can also see in Kraftwerk's old design that it used to have a more fleshy appearance, which was likely changed and he was given a more armored body with less ridges, seemingly done so Kraftwerk could keep a unique silhouette in comparison to Soft Machine. And this armory form is also likely due to Kraftwerk's own more defensive ability, that being kinetic control. This power allows Soleil to control the kinetic energy in anything he or Kraftwerk has come in direct contact with there being no stated limit to the amount of objects that can be affected at one given time. And how this works is Kraftwerk can control the amount of kinetic force an object has at any given time, be it allowing Soleil to position lock an object in place by either making it completely motionless, like when Soleil throws a group of rocks into the air and freezes them in place so he can climb over them, or motionless in respect to another object, like when the bullets fired by Mista begin to float around Soleil and move with him. He's also able to remove the kinetic force from something that touched a place that he did as well, as seen when Mista's hand is locked in place on the handrail on the side of the truck that Soleil and Kraftwerk had touched before, though the effect of Kraftwerk is limited to its own range, which is rather short. Though alongside being able to take kinetic force away from an object, Kraftwerk can also add kinetic force to an object as well, though this requires Soleil to add the force himself, as seen when he taps the butt of a bullet and begins to build up enough kinetic energy to fire it like a gun. He isn't limited to tapping objects to build up force, but hitting something at full force makes it more likely to miss as you are knocking it off balance, though attacks like this take so long to build up and set up that he only really uses it against stationary opponents. And with that being said, Soleil's combat ability with Kraftwerk is actually rather limited. It's a better defensive stand than it is a offensive stand, but if you take Shameless Purple Haze into account, account and like to consider it canon, well, it can be used in a really interesting offensive way, as when he strikes a target, he can also fix one of their body parts into place, be it an internal organ or a piece of them, and when he knocks them to the floor, it would rip that part out, as seen when he tries to knock the heart out of someone, but it ends up reversing on him and he pays the price for that. Though the reason I suggest that Kraftwerk functions better as a defensive stand is because of how quickly the effect triggers, as it's seemingly instant, with Soleil being able to stop bullets from piercing deep into his body, only getting as deep as his skin. Though this doesn't directly stop bullets and Soleil still has to deal with the pain of a bullet inside of the body, it has prevented multiple fatal wounds rather effectively, and he was only able to be defeated because Mista knocked him out. Now, Kraftwerk gets its name from the German band Kraftwerk, which was formed in Dusseldorf in 1970, and the group started out playing as part of the German Krautrock scene, which was when bands experimented by mixing psychedelic rock with electronic music in search of an avant-garde sound. Though the band would later embrace their electronic sound and create something that they refer to as robot pop, which helped them gain international fame with albums such as Trans-European Express in 1977, The Machine Man in 1978, but most importantly, The Autobahn in 1974, which seemingly has an influence over Soleil and Mista's fight, as the Autobahn album's main song was also called Autobahn and drew influence from the famous German highway, which is also well known for having no federal mandated speed limit. The song itself was actually created by the band because they wanted to capture the fun and freedom you feel when driving on the Autobahn, and with them making the cover of the album people actually just driving on the Autobahn, this to me appears to be why the setting of Mista and Soleil's fight takes place on a moving vehicle, along with the Autobahn's freedom of going fast and being able to choose how fast you go, directly translating into how Soleil uses Kraftwerk to control the speed of anything it touches. Though other popular songs by Kraftwerk might have also influenced the design of Kraftwerk the stand, such as the Robots or the Man Machine. Now, while Soleil is a low-ranking grunt in the gang, he is a master of his stand, and he's worked out all of Kraftwerk's intricacies and perfected them, though this did lead him to developing a bit of an ego as well, not only telling Mista when he was running out of bullets, but also willingly taking bullets in vital places like the inside of his mouth just to prove a point. He also ends up explaining every aspect of his attacks to his target when fighting them. This overconfidence, mixed with the drug-like effect of Angelica's Nightbird flying, led Soleil to be irrational in his fight with Vittorio, resulting in his death as Kraftwerk's own ability was reversed onto him, though that fate only matters if you consider Shameless Purple Haze to be canon. Outside of his fight with Mista, Soleil never actually does anything again in the official manga, being retired after failing to defeat Mista and claim his prize, though he showed great resolve in his fight, requiring Mista to double tap him with a head wound fully charged up by his own stand to even knock him out. He worked great as an introductory fight for Mista as well, being sort of a microcosm of what we should expect from the character, as the Sex Pistols Appears arc is a great way of showing Mista's own ability to think outside the box when facing an overwhelming odd, as you may think he's cornered at certain points in the fight, but he shows that he has a solution to these problems as well. And one aspect of his character that gets highlighted very well is in comparison to Soleil's more outlandish, outstandish personality, Mista has a more laid-back one, and treats the fight very calmly. But most importantly, it shows off one of the more classic running staples of a Mista fight that sort of has become a gag in the fanbase a bit, that being that Mista's own bullets have a tendency of coming back to him in a way. Though at the end of the day, Soleil likely retired post his defeat and returned to his simple life as a grunt in Passione. Maybe he was pursued for punishment by Giorno after the events of Part 5, or maybe he was just never seen again. That's all left up to the reader's interpretation. All we know for sure is that his barber surely hated him. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more videos like it in the future, I have a Patreon at patreon.com/ManyNotTheBadGuy. And if you want to position lock something into place, well, you can learn to do so via a copy of Shimonetta, A Boring World Where the Concept of Dirty Jokes Doesn't Exist at buyshimonetta.com.